This is the Daily Dose of Dopamine, for heaven's sake. Amazing. I'm Susan Scarlett. That is Robert Cochrane, PhD. It's so much fun to say that. That would be Dr. Robert to you. Hey, Doc. So we were reminiscing about the early days
Yeah.
of of this little enterprise that you've built, and we have touched on day one a little bit, and Joseph Campbell a little bit. You know, when we looked at it, when we first named it, when it was first named Improv to Improve,
Yeah. I2IPD.
and there was some cleverness to that. I thought that was actually kind of cool, but it didn't touch on, it was all about improv. And then you
Yes.
introduced this whole thing, this whole Joseph Campbell thing, and the day one and the writing and stuff. And there was a part of me that's like, why are we doing this? I don't
Right.
get it. And you know what? You may not have known why we were doing it either.
You're right. And that goes back to what I was saying earlier about getting comfortable with trust the unknown, right? That
Yeah,
I
yeah.
knew enough about the effect and what I'd heard to say there's something here. What is it? I don't know. And clearly the first two mentors I had in my program were terrifically uncomfortable with that. In all fairness, to them and to James in that regard, James got to see a much more fully formed person and
That's,
researcher than
that's
those earlier ones did.
yes.
That still doesn't change the way I was treated, I don't think. However, I mean, it's something I do want to bring up with James, maybe in here, is to say, because he was one of three people who was part of my initial interview. And I really haven't asked him, I pointed that moment out, but I haven't asked him, what do you remember from seeing me present?
Hmm.
Before, because you had to face the three different members of the board, basically to say, are you going to be admitted? And I think at that time I was like, I probably got a 50-50 shot here. I really thought there was a good chance they're going to say, this guy he doesn't have any science background. I mean, great grades, did wonderfully in his master's program, honor student, all these things, very sincere about Parkinson's, but he's never even taken a science class at this level. He has no, I mean, if they didn't dig into it, but if they had, they would see, my one statistics effort was a
I
failure.
was just thinking about your statistics class because it bled over. It was so big for you that
Yeah.
even we
And,
heard
and
about it.
now you're going to have to take two of them, not just they just made that qualification where we need you to, it used to be you'd only take one semester of it. Now you're going to take 2 semesters of it. It's like,
Yeah.
so yeah,
So from the student's point of view, what I want to register is you blend stuff, you meld stuff that maybe this isn't very scientific, and maybe that's what the problem with the previous committee was, but you see things, you see potential, you see connections, and you have this kind of courage to go do something that hasn't been done before. And if you really believe in it, you really believe in it. And it's really quite inspiring as a student to to see that confidence. And every once in a while, as we were speaking on a previous dose, I would um, question something, or we had enough trust and respect for each other that I could go there. And I always felt safe doing that. It was a little scary because my history is I am conflict avoidant. So if I was entering an area that might have been conflictual, if that's a word, I might have had a little trepidation. But your response was respectful, and you never were insisting that any of us accept X, Y, or Z. It's like you're built of the whole alphabet and in many languages, and slowly but surely we get pieces of it, and it's really fun. It's really fun learning from you.
Well, I'm glad to hear you say that, and thank you for all of that. One thing I know for sure is you're never going to learn by following me. You're going to learn by playing with me.
Yeah.
And that really is a different pedagogical tack than many take, I think, that see themselves as subject matter experts and say the pathway to knowledge is through me. And I say the pathway to knowledge is through us.
Through all of us, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That
And I
that's
think it takes a lot of courage to do what we're talking about. For you, as you said a minute ago, you'll be prepared, to death, out completely, and then veer off of your game plan.
yeah,
You
yeah,
get something from us that tells you that's we're over there,
yeah, yeah. That
and you
yes,
don't know where over that what that looks like. That's
no,
scary, but you go do it anyway, and that's very inspirational.
no,
And I
thank
think we're out of time.
you. The next dose. We'll see you soon.
Holy cow!